Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. The Calgary Flames shut out the Edmonton Oilers in another preseason tilt, and this time it was Markstrom who got the start. And, the Oilers are his worst opponent after all. Was this a boost to his confidence, and was it what he needed, or was this just some preseason mileage?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for making Locked On Flames the first listen of your day. And thank you for joining me on another episode as we round out the month of September and round out the end of the off season. Hard to believe that the Flames only have 3 more exhibition games after tomorrow before they have their season opener against the Colorado Avalanche. But before we get into today's episode, please make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube as well. 4-0 win over the Edmonton Oilers. JJ said it best himself. The series is tied at 3 apiece. Game 7 on Friday. But in all seriousness, the Flames took on the Edmonton Oilers and won 4-0. Was this an NHL-ready roster? Yes. Were they facing an AHL roster? Yeah. But you know what? It's preseason. Anything that you can do to get those reps and really get your offense going, get your team going, get in the reps that you need for chemistry and to figure your team out so you aren't, far behind when it comes to the regular season, which starts in like 2 weeks, which is crazy to believe. But it was Markey that got the start last night, and Kadri made his preseason Flames debut and recorded an assist. I am absolutely pleased with the progress that the Flames are making and at the pace that they're making progress. I think that it's great to see, Micahel Stone and Brett Sutter scoring goals. Do I think that this is boding well for NHL contracts for Stone? Yes. Do I think that Daryl Sutter may put his son up in the NHL? Maybe. I don't know. But it's just nice to see all of these players finding their groove and getting into a rhythm. I love to see Huberdeau scoring again. I think that is great. Mackenzie Weegar earned his first of the year as well. And, well, first of the preseason because these don't count. And remember, you don't get an award or anything, some sort of trophy for winning in the preseason. It all starts in October. And, this team is not one, including last year, that struggled with their offense, except when it came to the playoffs, which we can't even start thinking about yet. But I think it's really great to see that they are, again, getting into that groove, getting into that rhythm, but also generating chemistry between all aspects of the ice, between the forward group, the decor, everything. I'm just happy that this team is where they are. And they're not in the standings, like there's none of that yet, but what is there is a lot of potential and a lot of things going in the right direction. And don't forget, there was a solid week where this fan base was we were ready to tank for Bedard, and we were going to do that whether we liked it or not. And it's that was just 3 months ago or 2 months ago, really. And then of course, Kachuk gets traded and we see the return, but we still didn't know how things would look. And thankfully, things are heading in a positive direction. And actually, speaking of positive direction, I really like this power play unit that was assembled last night. It was Kadri, Huberdeau, Toffoli, Lindholm, and Rasmus Anderson. I think that Kirstanev may be slotted in there instead of Anderson, but once he's healthy. But I wouldn't hate to see Anderson there because he does have that offensive ability to his game as well. But he is a great 200-foot defenseman. I think that he's going to get some more recognition this year, league wide as well. I think that that shot from behind the blue line in the playoffs put him in good graces of many fans around the league. And what's not to like about him? He's a great guy. He has a great family and he's good at hockey. So, I feel like there's not much else that matters there, right? But the Flames did successfully kill off 3 penalties, but couldn't generate an opportunity on their 3 power plays. And I think right now it's just time to iron out the kinks. Every time someone asks Daryl Sutter a question, he is basically just saying, this is the preseason. Like, this is the time for us to be working on those things. This is the time for us to be, getting creative and seeing if this works or figuring out if there's a better solution. And there may be a better solution, and we may see the power play unit switch up next week against the Winnipeg Jets. We don't know. I think that the Flames have an identity to them now that will also help contribute to this offensive presence, or this just the presence that they have on the ice. And that's what they need, because when you go out and play teams like Tampa or Washington, more so Washington, like the Capitals, they're a little bit of a dirty team, and you have something to worry about with them. And that's kind of how I see the Flames as well. You have a lot to worry about there, not because they're going to come and hit you while your head's down, but because there's plenty of threats at all points of their roster. And I talked about this with Jared from Locked On Hurricanes, but they're working towards moving over that metaphorical hump that the Avs, the Caps, the Lightning have all gotten over in order to win a championship. And I think that they're almost there. They're almost there. And I think we're just going to have to keep working on that through the regular season and really just give yourself a little bit of momentum. And that is what this preseason is for. Coming up next, we are going to talk more about some stats from last night's game and some quotes from Daryl Sutter and Micahel Stone. And then just kind of, I want to hear from you. But first, let's hear from our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is the number one place for you to be placing your bets when it comes to sports, esports, and plenty more. BetOnline has all of your latest odds, news, and scores, and podcasts for your favorite sports. You can get all that you need all in one place, and they make it very easy to place your bets and stay on top of your betting history. So head on over to betonline.net today to place a bet for Thursday Night Football. Personally, I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, so I will probably be placing a bet. I'll have to look at the odds and the props and see what's there, but I'm going to be placing a bet on Joe Burrow because who doesn't love Joe Shiesty? And of course, you can do that all at betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. If you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. I watched a press conference yesterday, or I guess media availability with Daryl Sutter yesterday as I was walking, I was listening to it, wasn't really watching it, but on my way back to my car after class, and his delivery of things is so blunt and so bland that I would be terrified to ask this man a question, because obviously he doesn't mean it towards the reporter, or really any of the reporters, unless like it's a ridiculous question. But his delivery scares me a little bit, but he is already in mid-season form with his answers. He is just, it's the preseason, and he's letting us all know that, the game against Edmonton had no weight behind it. There was no sort of revenge game in his mind. It's the preseason. It is not that deep. It does not matter like that to him. And I think that's pretty neat. I think it's important for everyone to remember that, again, this is the preseason. This is time for them to iron out the kinks and to remain teachable. And I think that's a big thing. I think sometimes players and really anyone in any job or any position can kind of get a little bit of a big ego and say, well, I know everything. You should be learning from me, when that's not the case. But some great quotes here and some stats from Salim Valji from TSN I thought I would go over. He is a great resource to follow on Twitter if you are interested in following along in Flames coverage. He's right there on the beat. And through their first 4 preseason games, Calgary Flames goalies have stopped 98 of 102 shots. So that is a 960 save percentage. That is a Vezina winning goaltender if it's one person, but it's obviously not. So that is a fantastic stat, and that is a great thing to really point out there, because number one, that means your defense is working, it means your goaltenders are working, it means that they are not allowing high danger chances, they're not allowing players to crash the net, they're not allowing players to those scoring opportunities, and they're stopping the puck. As simple as that, right? And that's what you want. But don't, again, I feel like I have to keep prefacing this with, this is the preseason. This, like, you're not seeing everyone go 100%. The players you're seeing at 100% are players like on PTOs. And have we seen that from Sonny Milano? Have we seen it from him? I'm just saying. That's just a good question to raise there, right? But yeah, of course, you're getting your defense going, you're together, and then Huso Valimaki also had a really ugly defensive play, or lack thereof, against Seattle the other night, and it all started with Dylan Dubé's what do you call it? His a turnover, and it went south from there. But I don't know. I don't think Valimaki will be seeing much time in a Flames uniform. But the next quote here is from Daryl Sutter after when he was asked about Mackenzie Weegar. Really good student of the game, very coachable. That's what we like to see. We like to see players who will take feedback and, of course, apply it to their game. It's very nice to see and hear that there's no one that thinks that they're too good to be coached on this team. I think that being open to feedback is very important, but then to be able to take it, like, it's one thing to receive feedback, and it's another to receive feedback and go apply it to your game or apply it to your work. So it's great to see, right? And of course, with Mackenzie Weegar, you are looking for that extension, and he said he's not interested in signing an extension during the season. And Where have we heard that one before? And I think that has fans worried. So I'm going to be interested in seeing if something gets done before opening night. And of course, if not, then we're just gonna brace ourselves. We're just gonna brace ourselves and really hope that something gets done, right? Right? But Micahel Stone made it pretty clear after the game that his heart is in Calgary and the goal is to ultimately sign a deal with the Flames. I really think that he should be getting a look at that 6th or 7th defenseman spot because of not only his playoff performance, and I know it's a kind of silly to rely on, like, go back to that and look at it, but I do really think that his playoff performance had it. What's the word I'm looking for? He performed very well, and I think that the Flames were very much ready to bring him back after that performance. And then, of course, you have to do the legalities and follow the rules of a PTO and whatnot, and then offer him a contract. But I would love to see him brought back, and I think they do. It's one of those low risk, high reward situations here because you really need another defenseman, but no, you don't. But are any of those defensemen that you have ready to really make the jump? And are they going to be okay with the kind of, shifting back and forth between the NHL and AHL when needed? And I think Micahel Stone is kind of at that point in his career where he's okay just, you know, doing what he needs to do to be part of the team. And it's always nice. And you just, I'm always rooting for Micahel Stone. Like, this guy I talk about it all the time, but, to go from being an NHL player consistently to having to be bought out because of medical issues and then never getting like a true shot at the NHL again, like consistently, and you're just brought in on PTOs and then a contract. I don't know. I just always rooting for him. And then Daryl Sutter did go out of his way to praise defenseman Nikita Zadorov tonight, said he might push for a bigger role and has had a strong training camp. I was no, I don't want to say unnecessarily harsh, but I was hard on Nikita Zadorov when he first got his bearings here in Calgary. I think that it was very hard to watch him play sometimes because he just did not play well. He was not playing well, and him and Goodbranson that first month were horrible together, and it just was brutal to watch, and it just felt like they were never going to get that chemistry and find their bearings again. But eventually they did. They became one of the Flames, most consistent defensive pairs, which is so nice to see. And I like that, he may be stepping into a bigger role. I think he's like 24 years old. He's younger than me. I know that. And he he signed that extension this year and knew that he was losing his defensive partner in Goodbranson, which I mean was probably for the better because the Flames were going to be overpaying for Goodbranson if they did offer him 4x4 like Columbus did. But I think that Zadorov could be ready to take those next few steps into a larger role with the Flames, and I think that would be great because then you have more options and a little bit more versatility for Zadorov as a player. And I think that, it's always great when you get to take those next steps as a player. The first day of waivers is today. Among the names are Brad Hunt and Smallman from Colorado, Richard Panik, I never say his name right, from New York Islanders, and Micahel Stone of Arizona. So no one from the Flames, which is always great. Always great to see, always great to hear. Things you also love to see are the next steps that this roster is going to take and where we're heading next in terms of training camp. And we are going to talk about that next here on Locked On Flames. The secondary group is playing in Edmonton tomorrow, so they are on the ice today. They are working out. They are getting their skates in. They're getting those drills in. I'm actually really bummed out that the practices are closed to the public, because I would love to see some of, the journalism students at local universities go down there and be reporting for us so we know what's going on, because I think that there is that there's a standard that Flames writers have to stand to with it since they work for the organization. But I would love to hear, get a little bit more insight on what's going on there. So the main group that played last night is not working on the ice today. They are doing some off ice workouts, and it is that, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're already seeing waivers, players being cut from PTOs, and things like that. Like, time moves so fast. But after tomorrow's game, there are 3 more exhibitions for the Flames against the Jets, and there's going to be some roster cuts coming. I would assume this weekend we're going to see some players be cut, reassigned, and we can go over that definitely tomorrow and talk more about what we may see. But I do have to say that I think we need to see more from Sonny Milano. I don't know what's going on, why we haven't really seen much action from him. What is taking so long there? Is it just a matter of finding chemistry with his line mates? Is it a matter of him getting comfortable in Calgary, or does it have something to do with him just not being that great of a hockey player? And again, that is for the coaches to decide. I am just here along for the ride to talk hockey with y'all. I love talking with you guys. I think it's so much fun. I think that there's some overreactions in the preseason have happened, and that's okay. But it is important to remember that the season has not started. The Flames do not earn points as of yet. Jacob Markstrom is not going to win the Vezina for last night's performance against the basically Bakersfield Condors. You aren't going to be getting some sort of big overreaction or any sort of reaction out of over the top reaction out of me, unless something unfortunately negative happens, because again, it's still the preseason. We are still riding this out. We are almost there. It is September 29th. We're almost there. We're going to talk more about this potential roster later today. So, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode. As always, my name is Jess Belmosto, and you can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, and on YouTube on Locked On Flames, and I'll be just a little while to chit chat all about your Calgary Flames.